Happy Easter to all my Christian friends all over the world. This is a beautiful sunny day, and what a wonderful day to be outside. It's a time of renewal, Easter. But Easter isn't just a day, it's an entire season. So maybe we have a little bit longer to reflect than just one day. This Easter day, I spent the day cooking lamb in the kitchen, and it was delicious. I left the preaching to my colleagues, one of whom was the Reverend Jeff Peck, and he's Methodist and the pastor of a church in Bradenton, Florida. And the other sermon that I listened to was that of Ken Crawford, and he is the pastor of my old church in Dallas, Texas, which happens to be Disciples of Christ. You know, they both inspired me a great deal. They inspired me to deepen my relationship with God. And I think in order to do that, you need to find a place to do that, a place to talk to God. In fact, I'm sharing my place with you. Jesus found his place on the top of a mountain, the top of the Mount of Olives, and that's where he went to talk to God. And this place is on the top of a little mount in Edinburgh. And you can see it's spring and the flowers are blooming behind me. It's just about to burst. It's just so beautiful up here, and the air is clean, and it's wonderful. Jeff did a sermon about gratitude and the importance of gratitude. I think in order to be grateful, we need to first be able to receive grace from God, because that is what we are ultimately the most grateful for. In fact, the word gratis in Latin means grace, and that is the root of the word gratitude. And when we receive God's grace, it's not a passive thing. It must spur us to action, or we never received it at all. So now is a time to reflect on what that action might be. And when we reflect, we can do that literally, I suppose, even. We can look in the mirror and say, do we like what we see? Do we like what we see as an individual, as a family, as a community, as a country, indeed, as a planet? Well, Ken talked about the planet more. He talked about the new normal, and he was talking about the social normal, because with this terrible plague of COVID, it's changed a lot for everyone. We've lost a lot of really, really good people, and we're locked in our houses. It's damaged a lot of businesses, but on the positive side, the world is now unified against a common enemy. And I think we are reevaluating our social systems in light of how can we tackle something not as an individual, but as a nation, as a world. So regarding that, I would like to offer some encouragement from the history of God's chosen people in Deuteronomy 25. This passage talks about the sabbatical year. Every 7 years, Israel took the whole year off. That means they left their fields fallow for the year. So of course you need essential workers, and they needed them back then. So they needed bakers, and they needed they needed a lot of stuff. But they took the seventh year completely off. And indeed, after the seventh year, that is on the 49th year, they took that off too, of course. They take off every 7 years. And then they took the Jubilee year off, the 50th year as well. So on the 48th year, Israel had to prepare to take both the 49th and the 50th year off, and then they have to have grain to sow on the 51st year. Well, that means actually they need provisions for 3 whole years. Well, if a Bronze Age nation can do that, why are we so panicked as a Space Age nation? I don't think we have as much to worry about if we simply reevaluate the way we approach life, business, medicine, everything. So let's ask ourselves, what would you like the world to be? What would you like to be as an individual? What would you like your family to be? What would you like your community to be? What would you like your country to be? What would you like your world to be? And with the help of God, and with the communication of the world with God through prayer, I truly believe we can make it happen.